Hello, I'm Passant. Today we're looking at two games from the bracket tournament, and instead of analyzing the entire game, just going to look at a couple of key moments to see a couple of important themes. The first being openings and coming out well after the openings, and also positional chess, the importance of looking at positions as opposed to tactics. First, Cheney with white versus Carmona with black, the first of what may be one of three encounters that they have during the tournament. And Cheney with white, they go into the Ruy Lopez. There we are. And the interesting thing here is that Carmona makes what seems like perfectly good moves, yet after the eighth move, his position is pretty horrible. He's down a pawn, and so you say, "Wow, what went wrong?" I made good moves, and suddenly I'm horrible out of the opening. So let's see what happens. Here, Carmona defends the e5 pawn, which is a good move. The idea being, okay, if I take, then this pawn is defended. So that's normal, perfectly fine. And this is the pivotal moment. Cheney goes for d4. Now, here's the difference. There are two attackers on the e5 pawn. And while black has two defenders, for the time being, we know that the very next move, this defender could be removed. So you have to deal with this threat of removing the defender and then taking this pawn, and also totally messing up the pawn structure. And so let's see what happened in the game. Carmona made a normal-looking move, looking to push out the bishop, but that was a mistake. Takes the knight and then exchanges on d5, exchanges queens, taking away black's right to castle, and there goes the free pawn. And not only are you a pawn down, but look at this structure, a busted pawn structure, double isolated pawns. You're threatening to take another pawn and fork. In no way is Carmona lost here or anything, but this is not pleasant for Carmona. And look at Cheney. Cheney's totally, his development is just smooth and easy. Castle kingside, take out your bishop. Life is easy for Cheney, and life is just miserable for Carmona. And then, unfortunately, the next move, he made another mistake. He defended the pawn with his knight, but of course, whoops, I can simply take, and then he's down a piece. The best move, actually, for him is simply to take right away, give up this rook. Well, it'll end up being an exchange. The idea is that you can trap this knight. This knight has nowhere to go. You can trap it, but you're down in exchange. And look at these pawns. So no matter what, after he made this knight to h6 move, the game was pretty much over. So what could he have done instead? Let's see. There are basically two different responses. One, which is very normal, which is just simply defend like this. In other words, if Cheney wants to go in for it, then it's not a problem. In fact, black is probably better after this. And there you go. If you want to take, fine, I'll just take back. And I have black has two bishops, this beautiful rook. So that's one way to defend it. The other way, of course, after he moved here, Cheney probably wouldn't have gone in for this line. He probably would have done something else. The other way, actually the most highly recommended move, is simply to take. You take, he takes back. Now two attackers on this piece, and then you come out and defend. And something like this can happen. And you can either take with the bishop, or you can take with the pawn. Either way is still legit. Take with the pawn, for example, something like this can happen. And then black is very good. It has, this pawn structure is a little bit damaged, but totally fine. So that was it. Out of move 8, just out of this normal looking pawn push here, a6, things are just totally busted. And Cheney went on to win pretty easily. It's somewhat comical king stroll that Carmona went into. And but he kept on fighting, which is good, because sure enough, things look pretty horrible for Carmona's king here. But right here, he's going for, still fighting. It's pretty tricky. The idea, maybe if Cheney was, making moves while teaching or not paying attention. Let's say Cheney wanted to go in for this mate idea. The next move is mate here. Well, sure enough, Carmona has a mate of his own. And that's how Carmona could have won. So, it's always good to keep on fighting in a Passant. But, of course, Cheney did not fall for that. He just simply pushed his pawn here to make a escape square for his king, and then he quickly mated afterwards. There's the game. So the idea is not that you have to memorize openings, but when you come up to these key positions like this after d4, and you realize, wow, there's some serious threats going on here, you have to really take your time and not make an error like this a6 push. Okay, next game is Favello with white versus Paluck, myself with black. And I'm just going to cruise to the opening. It was just a very kind of solid, boring opening. We both played just natural moves, very even. And so right here, we're just going to see the difference, or just look for themes in positional chess. So right now, he has his two bishops. I have to my, bishop and horse, knight. I like calling them horses. And both looking good. He just had to find a better square for this bishop, which is a little bit locked in. And instead he buried it right here. So that was, just a slight problem, I'd say. Meanwhile, I continued to bring my knights to better attacking squares. And you can see I'm just getting ready for an attack on the king side. I have really nice diagonals here. I have my two knights in place, and this bishop is kind of buried out of the game right now. But it doesn't mean, I still have to somehow get an attack on the king. And here's where, so look, I'm bringing my knight to even a more active square, but the knight is also on an unprotected square, and that would be an issue. And so with this pawn push, this pawn is now undefended, and I went into what I thought was a good attack, but it was an error, and I should have lost the game because of this, but we'll see what happens. So I took it, and this is what I saw. I thought that he would try to trap me, which makes sense, but then I have this really nice move, this really nice knight move, which is simultaneously attacking his queen and protecting my bishop, and I can end up getting out of it something like this. Then I move in here, and I can save this this knight, which is under attack. Anyway, Favello had a much better move, and it was simply queen to f3, attacking my knight and having the threat of trapping my bishop. So great move. I oversaw this, so great job by Favello. And so I saved my knight and decided, okay, well, I'll get two pawns for my bishop. And, but white is up material. He does have some issues with his king defense, but I just gave up my bishop. So that was a serious mistake by me, and, Favello is definitely better here. I took away that defender, or exchanged that defender, and let's see what happens. Okay, this is a key moment, and this is really the point of the little video here, this part of the video. So this looks like an extremely strong knight. It's defended, has a great outpost. It can't be touched by any pawns, and it's attacking all of these squares deep inside the white king's lair. So you might think, oh, we should remove this knight. It's strong, and also just another basic, principle or idea is that when you're ahead of material, just trade on down and then win the endgame. So everything says, hey, get rid of this knight, get rid of it. But let's look at the position here. I only have 2 attacking pieces to the king's kind of bare area, which is an issue. But look at these rooks. These rooks are they have no future right now. I mean, this square where my rook would like to go to is blocked off. And so that's my real issue here. My rooks are terrible. And so, in fact, Darren should just forget this knight for now and bring in this sad bishop to defend and also start attacking on his own. But instead, he made the error, which just totally wiped away his advantage incredibly enough. He took the knight, which allows me to then bring my rooks in. So incredible. And in the computer, before this knight exchange, the computer had Favello, just doing better, up a whole pawn. But then his advantage gets totally erased. And this is the idea that I'm coming in with the rooks to attack his bare king. And so, this, and that's what I did. And there were ways for him to escape or just have some different end games that he would have been probably okay. But it's all hard to find, and neither of us made the best moves here. But it was tricky, and I ended up being able to take advantage of his weak king, and I won the game. So, just to go through it, here I got his queen and the game. He resigned here because I would have, it would have been a queen and a rook attacking this very naked king. So back to this pivotal point, and again, it's kind of counterintuitive. You might think, hey, we need to get rid of this strong knight, just lodged there, great outpost. But in fact, by taking this knight, he opened up the floodgates to the formerly poorly placed or rooks with no great immediate future. And instead, he should have focused on getting in this lost bishop into the defense and into the game. So, that's just positional chess lesson for us. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and take care.